Started, Lincoln R. Neal.
Thanks, Nate. Coach, we have a different kind of setup for the schedule this year. We play a team twice in one weekend. What do you see as kind of challenges that setup presents to you and the players playing the same team on back-to-back nights?
Well, there's two challenges. One is playing a team and then the next night adjusting and making adjustments and be able to maybe throw something different at them. So there's going to be a chess game going back and forth between night one and night two. And then the second part is the emotional part. You know, if one team wins, how do they come out mentally and emotionally the next night? Do they have the same energy, the same fire, or they just assume they're going to win? And I think sometimes when you lose, you learn more from losing. So it's going to create some interesting dynamics on that second night, mentally, how teams come out. So I think I see those are the two biggest things. As a coach, love it because you get to prepare for one night, then get to make adjustments the second night, and so it kind of makes it fun and interesting.
And then last week we learned that Nicole is opting out of the season. When was that decision made? What was the conversation like with her about that?
Well, it was a Zoom, and it was before we started practice. So January 1, somewhere around there.
How does that affect your team losing who was your primary backup setter?
Just with this COVID, everybody's got to be ready to go, and we're thankful that Ani is part of our program, and she's blossoming and doing a really good job. So it's just part of the deal, and everybody has to make their decisions for what's best for them, and so we support it. But pretty much she's it's like takes her out of everything. So it's an interesting dilemma, but we move on.
Brent Wagner.
Yeah, John, if you were playing today, who would be your starting middle blockers?
Don't know.
Who's graded out the best at the middle blocker position through the last few weeks?
It depends on the day. Very tight competition. Very tight. Obviously, Lauren has proven herself, but there's days she's not our best middle in here. So it's a tough one. It'll probably be game time. When we get their decision, see how it goes the next couple of days in practice.
What are you looking for? If Lauren's the other one, what are you looking from that second starter at middle blocker? What are you looking most for from that position?
Well, middle blockers are paid to block and then get kills. So we're just, and I think who's going to come in and really bring a competitive fire to our side and help that part of it.
Andrew Ward.
Hey, John, I wanted to ask you about Jazz. How have you seen her kind of respond since the incident that happened 2-3 months ago?
She's been great. She's done everything she's supposed to do or was required to do. She's worked really hard. She's had some great discussions about what she's learned through all that, and she's had to go through a lot of I don't know if I call them consequences, but things that are required to move past something like that. So it's been pretty cool to have discussions with her about what she's learned and observed, and so it's a great learning experience. So she's approached it as good as anybody could ask.
How much did that kind of shed a light to the mental side of this whole pandemic, and how kind of that's put an extra stress on these athletes?
It's a very good example of that, and I've seen other things as well that we're not accustomed to seeing from all the layoffs, all the downtime, quarantined. It's been a very interesting year. But as of now, we're days away from playing, and so there's an excitement with that, and hopefully this will, this is why I don't know how much long you've been around, but you've heard these guys have been around a while. I talk about routines all the time. These athletes need routines, and when they're not in routines is when stuff that's not healthy or good for them happen.
Jacob Padilla.
You always say the best servers are going to play. Who have been your top few servers and how they've been grading out in practice?
We've got probably about 8 great servers right now, so we're debating what 6 are going to get to serve. So we're pretty pleased. We've become, in my opinion, a very good serving team, and there's days I feel sorry for our passers. So they've really embraced that. Like I said, we're a year older, and so we're excited about the level of serving that we have on our team, and like I said, we have about 8 that I'd feel comfortable all of them being in a match.
Do you feel like that's one of the areas you've improved the most from last season?
I think so. We're always stressing it, but it's a area that, again, it takes time to develop into a great server, and understand how to serve and be low error and really put pressure on other teams. So we've been working hard on it, and they've embraced it. And I think they're smart enough to understand there's a lot of great hitters in our conference, and one way you can slow them down is to serve tough and get them out of system.
Beth Merrigan.
Coach, can you talk to us about Indiana and what you're expecting to see from them and what challenges they may pose?
Indiana graduated a majority of their team. There's only 2 players that played last year that I know of, Emily Fitzner, the setter, and Brianna Edwards, the outside. Other than that, it's a whole new team. So we're not spending a whole lot of time worrying about Indiana right now. We're just trying to fine-tune our race car of Nebraska volleyball.
Lincoln Arneal.
Now,
Coach,
you can ask me that question after the first night, then I'll be able to give more information.
Do you have to worry about installing a sense of urgency with the players because you're not only starting the season, but you're starting the conference season? Is there any urgency that needs to go with that?
That talk was last week, and just trying to frame their minds on the sense of urgency in practice every day. So they've been doing great with it, and I think the way we train and how the level in our gym, you pretty much have to have a sense of urgency, or if you want to be successful and have any success in our gym.
And then jumping back to the Jazz topic, will her on-court availability be impacted by her situation at all?
No.
Thank you.
Brent Wagner.
Yeah, with Lexi Sun, she has the injury her first year. She comes back, gets the All-American last season. What do you want from Lexi? What are all the different things that Lexi can do to take this next step this season for you?
Well, I think her biggest challenge, or the thing we're asking from her, is one, to be a complete player, have as much pride in making a great pass as a great kill. She can impact the match in so many ways, blocking, hitting, serving, defensively. So, and then, the question is, can you do that night after night after night and day after day? And so that's been her challenge, and she can be one of the strongest players in the Big Ten Conference when she's dialed in and getting after it. So she's worked hard. She improved the most in our performance index testing, which was really, really pleasing to see that. So she's worked really hard to get stronger, and now it's mentally competing point after point at a high level, and that's that's what all the players that come through this program, that's what they're striving for, is can you do it better and longer each year that you're here.
Is it just the same two captains from last season, or did you add captains?
Same
for
two
this season?
captains.
Okay, thank you.
Michelle Vopel, ESPN.
Yeah, Coach Cook, I was just wondering if you could clarify something for me. I know that in volleyball, sometimes the incoming recruits join the programs, for spring semester, but are they allowed to play this year? Because we're seeing that in men's and women's basketball. We're seeing freshmen, or I say 2021 recruits coming in early, if you will, and actually allowed to play. Is that allowed in volleyball? Because I've heard it wasn't. And if that's the case, why is that different than basketball?
So that is a great question, and you'll need to. I'll give you the what they're allowed to do is volleyball is not allowed to play. Basketball is. So that would be a question that you would direct to the NCAA, because it's and I guess they're assuming that because we're a fall sport, they're not allowing incoming freshmen to play that come in mid-year, which is very common in volleyball, and it's a decision that's made about 2 years out for them to get academically eligible. So why we're not allowed to do it and why basketball is makes no sense to me.
Okay, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me either, but I wanted to see if I was right about that. So I'll see if the NCAA has an answer to that, but it doesn't seem very fair, actually, between the two sports.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great opinion piece by you and again, it's not just affecting volleyball, it's other sports, but basketball is allowed to do it. And, we have different rules for basketball in the Big Ten, too. They're allowed to play out of conference. There's different rules. So interesting.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
One more question from Lincoln Arneal and one from Brent Wagner at Lincoln.
Coach, speaking of those incoming freshmen, what have you seen from them in practice so far, and how have they acclimated to the college volleyball world in the month or so that you've had them, not even?
Yeah, they've only been in our team practice a couple times, but they did great. We've been training them outside of our team because one, they weren't conditioned to go for a 3-hour practice or 2 days. Second of all, we want to make sure we're incorporating them into where they're not going to get in the way or risk injury. So we're slowly working them in. But they've done great. They're lifting 4 times a week. They're in all the meetings and everything. They will travel with us. But as Michelle pointed out, they're not allowed to play. But we asked for a waiver for them to be able to travel because, what's better for them to be with us or sitting in the in campus in the dorms on a weekend? I mean, if they're with us during the week, they're a risk to spread COVID. So we fought hard to have them travel with us, and thankfully we got that. So, but they've done great. They're awesome.
Was that a Big Ten or NCAA waiver that you used?
I don't know. Our compliance people, we fought for that, and we fought for them to be eligible to play. But I don't know how that went, if that was a Big Ten or an NCAA.
Thank you.
Brent Wagner.
I guess you have 14 players or whatever. How many cases among your team would force a match to be postponed?
Again, Brent, they had a meeting yesterday. I was not on that call because it was during practice. Lindsay was on it, and I have not discussed that with her. We still have not got the game management manual. So once I get that, I'll have a better feel of how that works. But it still has not been in our hands yet. She was in a call yesterday, and I haven't followed up with her yet on what that is.
Do you feel good about your situation for being able to play this weekend?
I mean, I just take it one day at a time, and and I look at the other teams. Women's basketball is doing great. They're handling it really well. They're staying healthy. And men's basketball, it's complete opposite. So it just makes you wonder, I'm just trying to think of everything we possibly can do to protect our players, keep them safe, and just trying to learn from those teams and take it one day at a time. That's kind of how we got to approach it. And because, our schedule's constantly changing. We have to work around testing times. Our Big Ten schedule is already changed yesterday. There's going to be some more additions to that or changes on that. So they're changing match times. So you just got to you're going to go stir crazy if you're thinking ahead of one except for the day that you're involved in right now.
All right, thank you, everybody.
All right, thanks.
And we'll be right back with Lexi.
Gosh.
All right. We are back with Lexi Sun. Go ahead and get started. Lincoln Arneal.
Hi, Lexi. You had kind of the extended off season. What were your areas that you wanted to focus on for yourself personally to improve on, given you had extra time that you maybe weren't expecting to have before the season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as a team, it was our goal to just kind of get stronger and take advantage of the time that we do have off. I think also focusing on all the things that we need to work on and get better on, taken from last year and how the year ended. I think that we really were able to take advantage of the time and, the team time that we had together, and also building relationships too, because we weren't really around family as much and we were with each other a lot. So taking advantage of the time that we had for sure.
Anything in particular that you want to develop in your skill set or your game that you wanted to improve on during that time?
Yeah. So the last few months, we have been able to work with Tyler. And the big thing that we've been working on as a team and for me personally is being creative. So being creative on offense and just like in general, every position is working on doing different things and making the most of like unexpected situations. So I think that's been something we have been really focusing on and trying to implement in our game.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jacob Padilla.
How ready is this team to play a match?
Ready as we'll ever be. I mean, we have to be ready. We haven't played in a year or over a year, I think now. This past weekend, we kind of tried to implement a game-like situation. So we had like a pregame practice, pregame meal, all of that here in Devaney, and we like switched the courts, wore jerseys, all of that. So I think that kind of was definitely a help for us in order to prepare for this weekend and be ready after not playing for so long.
Andrew Ward.
Hey, Lexi, there was talk last week about, just being prepared right at the top.
The baby, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
So cute.
There was talk last week about just being ready to go since it's a Big Ten schedule right out of the way. Just how ready out of the gates you guys have to be and how prepared do you have to be, especially with the NCAA tournament field reduced to 48 teams?
Right. Yeah, with any Big Ten match, we have to be ready to play and ready to compete. So I think that that's something we've been preparing for like I said, a year now. So we're all excited and looking forward to playing. And yeah, we just can't believe that it's actually happening this weekend. But we're looking forward to it for sure.
Brent Wagner.
So those 2 months that you got, 2 or 3 months you guys were off, I assume you went home to California. What, if you did, what was kind of your routine? Were you able to get matches, to go to the beach, to train on the beach? I guess what was your routine during the time you were away?
Yeah. So it was great to have time off. I haven't had that much time off in basically my entire life, but to be able to go home and spend some time with family. My sister actually last year, they put a gym in their garage. And so with everything being so closed down in California, it was really great to have that and be able to work out and stay in shape and all of that, and also taking advantage of the beach and being outside and running stairs and all of that. So it was actually, I think, out of all the girls on the team, I definitely had a really great situation in working out and staying in shape and preparing for the season, even when everything was so shut down. So that was really cool to have that time.
How long did you go without hitting? I mean, were you able to hit out there, or how long did you go without hitting?
Yeah, I would say about a month I went without hitting. Everything was so on and off for so long, so we would come back and say, okay, yeah, we could start, and then we'd have more time off. So it was pretty on and off, which was interesting. But I don't think I went over a month without hitting. Yeah.
Beth Merrigan.
Lexi, would you talk about the personality of this team and maybe any habits or routines you guys have that incorporated that personality?
Yeah. I think we're a very, very close team. I think that even the freshmen that just got here and the freshmen that got here a few months ago, I think that they're just fitting in and getting along with the team so well. I think we're a pretty free-spirited team. We have lots of personalities and people that are fun, and we just all love being around each other. So we're a very, very close-knit team for sure.
Do you feel like your leadership on the team this year is changed based on that personality? What are some things that you're doing as a leader of the team?
Yeah. I would say it's pretty much the same as it was last year, considering we didn't really have any seniors last year. So all the juniors were basically the seniors. So something for me that I have tried to work on last year and I will continue to work on is being an emotional leader for the team. Just trying to remain steady throughout the game and being that person that people can lean on in tough matches and in stressful situations.
Jacob Padilla.
Coach talked about how tight that middle blocker battle has been. Just in general, how have the newcomers kind of assimilated themselves and fit into the volleyball side of things?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Nebraska volleyball is we do things our specific way, and it's really, when you first get here, you really have to learn a lot of the techniques and the drills and all the things that we do. But they caught on so quick, and it's been really, really cool to see the competition and how the new girls have just raised the level in our gym. And I guess, just created so much competition and like a good competition atmosphere, not like a negative situation, but pushing each other to get better. It's been really awesome to see.
Do 2 more questions. Brent Wagner.
Yeah, after this season, will you come back for the fall 2021 season?
That's a great question. Obviously, the seniors now have another year of eligibility, so that's something that I'll have to consider, I think, after this little spring season is over. I'm excited to see how everything pans out and what kind of a season we do have, but I haven't made any final decisions concerning that yet.
What kind of mindset will you have this season, not knowing if this will be your last season or not?
Definitely preparing for my last season. I think that yeah, I don't want to like make any expectations or place any expectations on the girls or like myself of coming back and like, oh, I'll have another shot at this, but giving it my all this season. And I think that that's kind of our mindset, even for the younger girls, just giving it our all this season and focusing on what's in front of us and not thinking too far ahead.
Dan Corey.
Hi, Lexi. Coach Cook mentioned that with the back-to-back night games against the same opponent, that it's kind of like a chess match. What challenges does that provide mentally for you guys, whether you win or lose on the first night going into that second night against the same team?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. We obviously haven't done that at all. And so I think it's going to be an interesting test for all the teams. I think if we win the first night, it's going to be a test to see if we can bring that and get better the second night. And if we, hopefully we don't, but if we lose the first night, then we're going to have to pick it right back up and get better the next night again. So I think it's going to be interesting for all the teams and definitely an adjustment that we're going to have to make and get used to pretty quick here.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
That's all for today.